This is the truth about success and failure. Success and failure. Two words that sound simple, but they hold the power to shape the destiny of every man and woman who walks this earth. Every life that rises, every dream that collapses, every empire built, and every empire lost at the core. You will always find one of these two forces at work. But here is the truth. Success and failure are not accidents. They are not gifts handed out by luck, nor punishments delivered by fate. They are consequences, unyielding results of the thoughts we nurture, the beliefs we carry, and the actions we take each day. Look back through history, and you'll see it clearly. Thomas Edison, a man who failed 10,000 times in his pursuit of light, did not stumble upon success by chance. Andrew Carnegie, who rose from the dirt floors of a poor Scottish cottage to become the richest man of his age, was not handed his empire by some act of destiny. Henry Ford, who revolutionized industry and brought mobility to the masses, did not find success waiting for him in the shadows. Each of them understood a truth so many never grasp, that success is manufactured in the mind before it is ever constructed in reality. Failure, too, is no accident. It is not a thunderbolt from the sky, nor a curse passed down through generations. Failure is built in the silence of hesitation, in the comfort of excuses, in the daily surrender to fear and doubt. Failure is crafted by inaction just as surely as success is crafted by bold, decisive action. Napoleon Hill once said, "Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." And that truth stands eternal. Because failure, when faced with the right mindset, is not the end. It is raw material, clay waiting for the sculptor's hand. But most people never see it. They accept failure as permanent, while the few, the rare few, use it as fuel to rise again. Think about Abraham Lincoln. He lost election after election. He failed in business. He faced depression, loss, and rejection more times than most men could endure. Yet he refused to surrender to failure. He understood that every defeat was simply feedback, every obstacle a stepping stone, and in time he became one of the greatest leaders the world has ever known. So what separates success from failure? What makes one person rise while another falls? It is not intelligence. It is not talent. It is not even opportunity. For history is filled with geniuses who died in poverty, and ordinary men who achieved extraordinary wealth. The difference lies in desire, in belief, in the relentless refusal to accept defeat as final. The truth about success and failure is that they are choices. Not easy choices, not comfortable choices, but choices nonetheless. Success demands discipline, vision, courage, and sacrifice. Failure asks only for neglect. Neglect your dreams, neglect your purpose, neglect the daily effort required to grow, and failure will come to you as naturally as night follows day. But when you choose success, when you decide to cultivate a definite major purpose, when you train your mind to focus on what you want instead of what you fear, you awaken a power that can move mountains. This is the truth. Napoleon Hill dedicated his life to teaching that your mind is your greatest asset, and what you hold within it will determine the world you create outside it. Most people never understand this. They wait for permission, they wait for conditions to be perfect, they wait for the right time, and in that waiting, their lives slip away. Failure claims them not through catastrophe, but through quiet surrender, through the slow decay of dreams that were never acted upon. Meanwhile, the successful ones, the relentless ones, take imperfect action. They face rejection, they endure criticism, they stumble and fall, but they rise again. For them, failure is never final, but only feedback. They treat every setback as a signal to adjust, every defeat as a lesson carved into the road to triumph. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper because he lacked imagination. Edison was called a fool for chasing the impossible. Ford was mocked for believing he could build an affordable car. Each of them was laughed at, ridiculed, and dismissed as failures. But they knew the truth that success was not defined by the opinions of the crowd, but by the determination of the individual. And so I ask you, what will you choose? Will you live by default, letting failure take root in the soil of neglect? Or will you rise with purpose, planting in your mind the seeds of success, nurturing them with action, and refusing to quit until they bloom? Because the truth is this: success does not belong to the lucky, the wealthy, or the chosen few. It belongs to those who believe with such conviction, who desire with such fire, who act with such persistence that the universe itself cannot deny them. Success begins in the mind, long before it shows in the bank account, the career, or the applause of the world. The soil of every great achievement is thought. What you allow to take root in your imagination will one day grow into the reality you walk in. But here's the danger. Most people live as prisoners of their own mind. They allow fear to plant weeds where vision should grow. They water doubt instead of watering desire. They rehearse failure in their imagination so vividly that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Napoleon Hill wrote in Think and Grow Rich, "Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve." That is not poetry. That is not wishful thinking. It is a law as real and as unshakable as gravity. Conceive it, believe it, achieve it. This is the sequence of success. Break it, and you break yourself. Honor it, and the world bends to your will. Consider the stories of men who lived by this law. Edison conceived of light when the world still lived in darkness. The Wright brothers conceived of flight when man had only walked the earth. Martin Luther King Jr. conceived of freedom when injustice was written into the laws of the land. These visions were not handed down from heaven like lightning bolts. They were born in ordinary minds that refused to stay ordinary. But conception alone is not enough. Millions conceive great ideas, yet they die unborn because belief was never present. Belief is the breath that brings vision to life. Without belief, your dream suffocates. Without belief, your purpose starves. Without belief, every setback will look like a wall instead of a door. This is why Napoleon Hill taught the principle of definiteness of purpose. A drifting mind cannot produce belief. A drifting soul cannot hold a vision steady. But when you know exactly what you want, when your purpose is definite, when your vision is precise, you give your mind a target to lock onto. Clarity gives birth to belief. Think about it. A ship without a destination is at the mercy of every wave, every gust of wind. But a ship with coordinates, a map, and a captain who believes in his course, no storm can divert him for long. The same is true of you. If you wander through life with vague wishes, I want to be successful, I want to be happy, I want to be rich, you will drift endlessly. But when you say, I will build this business, I will achieve this goal, I will reach this height, and you back it with relentless belief, the world begins to move in your favor. Clarity transforms energy into power. A magnifying glass can take scattered sunlight and focus it so sharply that it burns through steel. Your mind works the same way. Scatter your thoughts and you weaken your power. Focus them with clarity and belief and you ignite a fire no obstacle can withstand. Yet, clarity requires courage, because the moment you declare your vision, the world will test it. You will face doubt, ridicule, and resistance. People will tell you it can't be done. They will project their fears onto you, trying to pull you back into the safety of mediocrity. But remember this: the loudest critics are often the ones who gave up on their own dreams. When Andrew Carnegie asked a young Napoleon Hill to study the world's most successful men and distill their secrets, he was not looking for another book of philosophy. He was handing humanity a blueprint for achievement. And one truth was undeniable. Every man and woman of greatness had absolute clarity of purpose. A vision burned so deeply into their mind that no criticism, no failure, no setback could erase it. That is the difference. Success requires a mind that refuses to drift, a vision so strong it becomes a demand upon reality. Failure is the natural consequence of vagueness, of drifting, of surrendering your mind to whatever winds of circumstance blow your way. So ask yourself right now, what do you truly want? Strip away the noise, the opinions, the distractions. What do you burn for? What do you desire with such intensity that you would give years of your life, endure rejection, and face hardship just to see it come alive? Until you answer that question with clarity, your belief will always be weak. And without belief, you will never persist long enough to win. The successful do not hope vaguely. They do not wish quietly. They decide loudly. They declare boldly. And then they back that decision with discipline, with focus, with the relentless action of someone who refuses to fail. This is the truth. Success is not for the half-hearted. It is not for those who dip their toe into desire and then pull back at the first sign of resistance. Success is reserved for those who have clarity, who plant their flag on the mountain and declare, "This is mine." And from that clarity is born belief. From belief comes persistence. From persistence, triumph. Discipline is the bridge between vision and victory. It is the invisible thread that turns belief into results, that transforms burning desire into tangible achievement. Without discipline, desire is only a spark. It flashes brightly for a moment, but it dies before it can ignite a fire. With discipline, that same spark becomes a raging inferno that lights your entire path forward. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think it is punishment, restriction, a chain that takes away freedom. But discipline is not a prison, it is the passport to freedom. The man who disciplines himself gains control over his destiny. The man who lacks it becomes a slave to impulse, distraction, and circumstance. Look at the giants of history. Henry Ford did not create the automobile industry by working when he felt like it. Thomas Edison did not invent the light bulb by experimenting when it was convenient. They submitted to the grind of discipline. They woke up every day with a mind locked onto the vision and a body obedient to the mission. They sacrificed comfort for greatness. Discipline is the art of doing what must be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. Anyone can act when motivation is high, when energy is abundant, when the applause of others is loud. But discipline shows up when motivation disappears. Discipline acts when no one is watching. Discipline grinds through the silence, through the boredom, through the pain, because discipline answers to vision, not emotion. Napoleon Hill taught that temporary defeat is not failure. Temporary defeat is the universe testing your commitment, asking you, do you want this enough to fight for it every single day? Discipline is your answer. Discipline is proof that you are serious, that your desire is not a passing wish but a permanent command. Think of a sculptor chiseling stone. One strike of the hammer means nothing. 10 strikes show little progress. But with thousands of disciplined blows, a masterpiece emerges. Success works the same way. One effort does not guarantee results, but daily effort, compounded over weeks, months, years, that is where destiny is carved. Here's the paradox of discipline. It feels like sacrifice in the moment, but in truth, it is the greatest act of self-love. To discipline yourself is to protect your future from the weakness of your present. It is to say, I value my destiny more than I value my comfort. And when discipline is combined with vision, the impossible becomes inevitable. Vision gives you direction, discipline gives you progress. Together they create momentum, and momentum is unstoppable. But vision alone is fragile. A vision without discipline is like a castle built on sand. It looks grand for a moment, but the first storm sweeps it away. And discipline without vision is slavery. It is motion without meaning, action without purpose. You must have both. Purpose is the fire behind it all. Purpose is what makes you endure when others quit. Purpose is what turns obstacles into stepping stones, what transforms suffering into fuel. Without purpose, discipline feels heavy, belief feels hollow, and success feels meaningless even if you achieve it. Purpose is born from asking yourself, why do I exist? What am I here to create, to contribute, to leave behind? When your why is strong, no how is too difficult. When your purpose burns brightly, the long nights, the failures, the rejections, they do not break you, they build you. Look at Lincoln, who lost election after election, faced humiliation after humiliation, yet pressed on because his purpose was larger than his pain. Look at Walt Disney, who was fired for lacking imagination, who faced bankruptcy multiple times, yet refused to let go of the dream that lived inside him. Look at Helen Keller, who overcame blindness and deafness to inspire millions because her purpose was stronger than her limitations. Purpose makes the impossible possible. It transforms relentless desire into an unstoppable mission. And when that mission is pursued with clarity, belief, and discipline, the outcome is not a question of if, but when. Understand this. Success is not a single moment of triumph. It is the daily choice to remain true to your vision, to walk in discipline, to hold fast to belief, to live by purpose. Failure is not a single defeat. Failure is the daily decision to drift, to surrender clarity, to trade discipline for comfort, to abandon purpose for convenience. And so the truth remains, your life will be shaped not by what happens to you, but by what you discipline yourself to do, what you believe enough to pursue, what you desire enough to endure, and what you live for with unshakable purpose. Resilience is the armor of greatness. It is the unseen force that keeps a person standing when the world expects them to collapse. Success does not belong to the one who never falls. It belongs to the one who refuses to stay down. Every failure you encounter is not the end of the road. It is a detour, a lesson, a sharpening of your spirit. Napoleon Hill wrote that within every adversity lies the seed of an equal or greater benefit. That seed is resilience, but you must choose to water it. You must choose to see the obstacle not as punishment, but as preparation. Think of Abraham Lincoln again, defeat after defeat, yet he stood back up, each time stronger, more seasoned, more immovable. Imagine if he had quit after his first failure. Imagine if he had allowed humiliation to bury his vision. History would be missing one of its greatest leaders. Resilience is not toughness alone. Toughness is rigid. It snaps when pressure becomes too great. Resilience bends, adapts, adjusts, and then rises higher. It is not about resisting change. It is about transforming through change. The resilient person understands that life is not meant to be perfect. It is meant to be mastered. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb. Each failure was not destruction, it was discovery. Each setback carried information that brought him closer to the breakthrough. He did not label failure as loss. He labeled it as data, as experience, as a stepping stone. That is resilience. Adaptability is resilience in motion. It is the ability to shift when the winds of life change direction. The oak tree that refuses to bend in the storm is ripped from the earth. The willow, flexible and yielding, survives every hurricane. Adaptability is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the ability to remain committed to your goal while adjusting your methods. Look at businesses that collapse because they refuse to adapt to new times. Look at leaders who faded into obscurity because they clung to the old ways while the world moved on. Then look at innovators like Andrew Carnegie who seized the opportunities of industry. Look at modern visionaries who embrace technology, who pivot when needed but never abandon their core mission. Resilience whispers, "I will not quit." Adaptability whispers, "I will find another way." Together they form the mindset of the unstoppable. And here lies the hidden truth. Adversity is not your enemy. Adversity is your teacher. Every great soul was refined in the fire of struggle. Steel is forged in flames, diamonds are born under pressure, leaders are shaped by trials. The very pain you fear may be the exact training ground your destiny requires. Gratitude transforms this perspective. Gratitude does not mean ignoring pain or pretending everything is perfect. Gratitude means recognizing that even in the storm, there is growth. Gratitude means thanking life not only for the sunshine, but for the rain, because the rain makes you grow. When you are grateful, you are unbreakable. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you have lost to what you are gaining, from what has ended to what is beginning. Gratitude fuels resilience because it gives meaning to the struggle. And when struggle has meaning, you can endure anything. This is why some crumble under defeat while others rise. The difference is not talent, not luck, not circumstance. It is resilience, adaptability, and gratitude. These are the cornerstones of greatness. Because the truth about success and failure is this: you are not defined by what happens to you. You are defined by how you respond. Life will test you, break you, strip you down. But if you rise, if you adapt, if you give thanks for even the trials, nothing can stop you. Not failure, not rejection, not even time itself. And now we arrive at the final truth. Success is not a mystery. It is not a secret reserved for the chosen few. It is a law, a principle, a cause and effect reality as certain as gravity itself. Success is born in the mind, fueled by desire, executed with discipline, and sustained through resilience. Failure is not the opposite, it is the proving ground. It is the weight that builds your strength, the storm that hardens your will, the fire that burns away everything weak until only power remains. You must understand this. Life is not waiting for you to be ready. Life is not pausing until you feel confident or until circumstances align. Life is happening now. And every moment you hesitate, every excuse you allow, every doubt you tolerate, you are surrendering to failure by choice. But the moment you decide, with burning desire, with relentless conviction, with an unshakable refusal to quit that moment, success bows to you. Think of the giants who came before us. Edison, who refused to surrender. Carnegie, who built an empire from dust. Lincoln, who rose from countless defeats to lead a nation. Henry Ford, who defied doubt and created an industry. They were not extraordinary men, they were ordinary men with extraordinary persistence. The same fire that burned within them burns within you, but it will remain dormant until you demand it awaken. So the question is not whether you can succeed. The question is whether you will summon the courage to persist when the night is darkest, whether you will stand when your legs tremble, whether you will believe when evidence says to quit, whether you will endure when comfort calls your name. For success is not promised, it is claimed. It belongs to those who dare, to those who act, to those who never retreat. Failure is only final when you accept it. Until then, it is fuel, it is feedback, it is the rough draft of your triumph. Hear this and let it settle in your soul. You are capable of more than you have ever imagined. You are stronger than your doubts, greater than your fears, bigger than your failures. The power of relentless desire already lives within you. It is the spark that can ignite empires, inventions, movements, and miracles. But you must protect it, you must feed it, you must obey it. Because in the end, there is no secret path, no shortcut, no hidden key. There is only this. Decide what you desire, believe it with all your soul, pursue it with all your strength, adapt with every challenge, rise after every fall, and never, never stop until it is yours. This is the truth about success and failure. Success is not given, it is earned, it is built, it is demanded, and it is waiting for you. Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Think and grow rich.